Welcome to A Journey Through Time, a marathon of our historical series where we delve into the remarkable stories that have shaped our world. From the rise and fall of empires to the lives of extraordinary individuals, history is a tapestry woven with triumphs, tragedies, and everything in between. Tonight we invite you to explore the intricacies of human experience, uncovering the lessons of the past and the echoes that resonate in our present. Each episode offers a window into a different time and place, revealing the challenges, innovations, and cultures that define our shared heritage. So grab a seat, settle in, and prepare to embark on this enlightening adventure through history. Together we'll discover the moments that have left an indelible mark on our world. Let the marathon begin. Welcome to episode 29, Historical Facts, Disturbing or Delightful? You decide. Today's topic will discuss the history and fun facts about American money. When you look at the images on the front of the US $1 Federal Reserve note, what do they mean to you? Perhaps the most universally renowned symbol to appear on the front is right in the center, George Washington, our nation's first president. Did you know that he was not always there? The $1 legal tender note, issued by the United States during the Civil War, was the first widely circulated U.S. $1 bill. However, it featured Samuel P. Chase, Secretary of the Treasury. Symbolism was very much on the minds of the Treasury officials when they were first contemplating the design for the Treasury seal. They decided that the number of spikes surrounding the Treasury seal should equal the number of states in the Union, which was 34 before the start of the Civil War. If you turn the bill over, you will notice a symbol above the pyramid as a representation of the all-seeing eye, the Masonic symbol of the great architect of the universe. You will also notice a more symbolic and patriotic design, the Great Seal of the United States. In the initial design of the new currency, the seal was reversed from how it appears today, with the eagle featured on the left and the pyramid on the right. The new version was first issued on the series of 1935 $1 silver certificates. These were nearly identical to the $1 Federal Reserve notes that we use today, but one important distinction was still to come. In God We Trust first started to appear on U.S. money during the Civil War era, largely because of the nation's increasing religious sentiment. The motto was used for the first time on the copper cent piece in 1864. It was not until 1956 that Congress passed a law declaring, "In God we trust," the national motto of the United States. The motto was first used on paper money in 1957, when it appeared on the $1 silver certificate. Early paper money issued by the Continental Congress also displayed important symbols and mottos. The February 1776 issue included fractional denominations, including a third of a dollar. The first American cent, known as the chain cent, came under strong public criticism because some people viewed the chain as a symbol of slavery. A year later, new 1-cent coins were minted with a different design on the back, a victory wreath. Continental notes came in a variety of denominations, including a $40 note, a $50 note, and a $65 note, each with their own image and mottos. Just as the Continental Congress was authorizing the first issues of federal paper money, individual states were issuing their own paper money. Patriotic symbols were apparent on those notes as well. Now getting to the symbols. Have you ever really given the symbols on the dollar bill much thought? Do you know what they all mean? Well, these dollar bill symbols may not mean what you think. Don't worry if you never knew what they meant. because we often are like that with many things. We see things on a daily basis, but never really inspect them with a detailed eye. It's very easy to overlook these things, but now we're about to explore one of the oldest forms of currency, so go grab a dollar bill and take a closer look with us. The pyramid. One of the most eye-catching dollar bill symbols is the pyramid, which represents strength and duration. Some interpret the missing top as a sign that the country wasn't finished yet. Similarly, the western face of the pyramid is in a shadow while the front is lighted, which some say indicates that the nation hadn't explored the West or figured out what it would do for Western civilization yet. The eye above the pyramid. When Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, and John Adams gathered to design the seal, they didn't suggest a pyramid, but they did discuss an eye. They wanted the seal to have a symbol of divine providence, and the all-seeing eye shaped like the top of a pyramid is an ancient symbol of divinity. Letters on the pyramid's base are the letters MDCCLX SPIES. The eagle's shield. In front of the eagle is a shield, which is unsupported to signify Americans should rely on their own virtue. The horizontal top bar of the shield symbolizes the federal government, and it holds together, yet is supported by vertical bars that represent individual states. Now about the stars above the eagle. It's no surprise that the stars over the eagle represent the 13 colonies. But what are the dollar bill symbols surrounding them? The official description says it's glory breaking through a cloud above the eagle, but current versions have a cloud surrounding the rays. Eagle's talons. The eagle on the back of the $1 bill holds an olive branch representing peace in its right talon, and arrows symbolizing war in its left talon. But on silver coins from 1801 to 1807, the eagle held them in opposite talons. European diplomats and journalists claimed putting the arrows in the eagle's dominant talon was a symbol of aggression, and called it a reason to start war. So America decided to switch the peaceful symbol to the dominant side of the dollar. The number 13. Unsurprisingly, the number 13, the original number of American states, appears on the dollar bill. But you might be surprised by how many times the number shows up. It's one of the most frequent dollar bill symbols. There are 13 arrows, 13 olive branch leaves, 13 olive fruit, 13 stars above the eagle, 13 steps of the pyramid, and 13 bars on the shield, and the words Annuet Captis and A Pluribus Unum both have 13 letters. The balancing scales on the Department of the Treasury seal doesn't represent a balanced budget, but is actually a symbol of justice. Latin phrases appear a few times on the dollar bill in a couple of dollar bill symbols. Above the pyramid reads Annuet Captis, which means God has favored our undertaking. Under the pyramid is the phrase Novus Ordo Seclorum, which is interpreted as a new order of the ages. On the banner of the eagle is a Pluribus Unum, which also appears on almost all US coins and means, out of many, one. On the front of the dollar bill, a 1 or 2 digit number appears 4 times. This number refers to the Federal Reserve Bank that printed the bill. A 1, for instance, would mean it was made in Boston, while 2 refers to New York. By the top left and bottom right of the ones, on the front of the bill, you'll see a letter. It'll contain any letter from A and H and number. any number between 1 and 4. The combination refers to the position the note laid on the plate when it was printed. For example, A1 is the top left position and H4 is the bottom right. Now let's get into some facts about our money. Why is money green? When paper notes were introduced in 1929, the U.S. Bureau of Engraving and Printing opted to use green ink because the color was relatively high in its resistance to chemical and physical changes. Also, at the time, green pigment was available in large quantities for quick printing. Did you know that Harriet Tubman will soon replace Andrew Jackson as the face of the $20 bill? That's right. She will become the first woman in more than 100 years and the first African American ever to appear on the front of a paper note. Pennies used to be a lot snarkier. Renaissance nerd Benjamin Franklin designed America's first US penny in 1787. However, instead of using the phrase "a pluribus unum," it was emblazoned with the motto, "Mind your business." Did you know that the eagle was a celebrity? The eagle on your money may have a name. From 1830 to 1836, a certain bird swooped into Philadelphia's U.S. Mint building, so often that workers named him Peter the Mint Eagle. They cared for him and allegedly used him as a model for the coin engravings for years to come. So can pennies bankrupt us? Well, today it costs more than a penny to make a penny. According to the US Mint, it costs them roughly 1.7 cents per coin, so I guess it could be a possibility. Your change makes TSA wealthier. Yeah, change adds up fast. But did you know that in 2015, the TSA reported collecting $765,000 in loose change at airport security checkpoints across the country, and they get to keep it all? Money is the ultimate compost. Today we trash worn-out cash into compost every single day. There is a farm in Delaware that mulches more than 4 tons every day. Is a machine rejecting your dollar bill? Try microwaving if. It takes about 4,000 double folds before a bill will tear. It takes far fewer folds for a vending machine to reject your bill. But you can fix that issue by popping your Washington into the microwave for about 20 seconds to crisp it right up. So, why do we call it paper money? Is it made from paper? Well, paper money is not paper at all. It's 75% cotton and 25% linen. In Ben Franklin's day, people repaired torn bills with a needle and thread. How much ink does it take to print money? Turns out that the U.S. Bureau of Engraving and Printing uses nearly 9 tons of ink to print 26 million currency notes each day. Did you know that a Carolina farm boy funded the country for 25 years? That's right. While the first U.S. gold rush started in North Carolina in 1803, 12-year-old Conrad Reed found a 17-pound gold nugget on his father's farm. It supplied all the gold for the nation's mints until 1829. Finally, did you know that there are 293 ways to make change for $1? Well, if you want to keep someone busy for a long time, challenge them to find all the 293 ways. Thank you for watching episode 29 of Historical Facts, Disturbing or Delightful. You decide. Stay tuned for episode 30, where we'll delve into the mysteries of the Freemasons.
Freemasons, a secretive fraternity, have been the focus of much curiosity and speculation. But what do we really know about them and their guiding principles? With 6 million members worldwide, including more than 200,000 in the UK, non-members are curious what they are really about. Find out on this special Freemason episode of Historical Facts Disturbing or Delightful, You Decide. Freemasons belong to the oldest fraternal organization in the world, a group begun during the Middle Ages in Europe as a guild of skilled builders. Since the middle of the 19th century, Masonic historians have sought the origins of the movement in a series of similar documents known as the Old Charges, dating from the Regius poem in about 1425 to the beginning of the 18th century. The origins of Freemasonry are obscure. The creation of the craft, as it is also called, occurred over time between the first recorded gentleman joining an Edinburgh stonemasons' lodge in 1599 and 1721. The degrees of Freemasonry retain the 3 grades of medieval craft guilds, those of entered apprentice, journeyman or fellow, now called fellow craft, and master mason. The candidate of these 3 degrees is progressively taught the meanings of the symbols of Freemasonry and entrusted with grips, signs and words to signify to other members that he has been so initiated. Once the craft degrees have been conferred upon a Mason, he is qualified to join various concordant bodies which offer additional degrees. Freemasonry describes itself as a beautiful system of morality veiled in allegory and illustrated by symbols. The symbolism is mainly, but not exclusively, drawn from the tools of stonemasons: the square and compasses, the level and plumb rule, the trowel, the rough and smooth ashlars, among others. Moral lessons are attributed to each of these tools, although the assignment is by no means consistent. Some of the most well-known Freemason symbols include the square and compass. This symbol is a builder's square joined by a compass and is often depicted with a letter G in the center. The square and compasses represent the history and traditions that Freemasons borrow from stonemasons, who use the square to ensure that stone cubes have perfect right angles. The G in the center has been the subject of debate, with some experts believing it represents geometry, while others believe it represents God. The all-seeing eye, also known as the Eye of Providence, this symbol represents God's omniscience. The gavel. A stylized version of the mallets or hammers used in building trades, the gavel is used by Freemasons as an insignia of apprenticeship or mastery. The beehive. This symbol can be found on gravestones, cornerstones and monuments around the world. Masons were originally working men who were supposed to be as busy as bees. The dramatic allegorical ceremonies include explanatory lectures and revolve around the construction of the Temple of Solomon and the artistry and death of the chief architect, Hiram Abiff. While many different versions of these rituals exist, with various lodge layouts and versions of the Hiramic legend, each version is recognizable to any Freemason from any jurisdiction. Freemasons often say that they are not a secret society, but rather a society with secrets. The secrets of Freemasonry are the various modes of recognition: grips, handshakes, words akin to modern passwords, and signs, hand gestures, that indicate one is a Freemason. Each lodge meets 4 times a year officially to welcome new members in ceremonies, the contents of which have always been a closely guarded secret. Freemasons greet one another with the variety of handshakes, all based on one's rank within the organization. There is a handshake for each degree. Each rite also has its own handshake, so there is quite a variety. As part of their practice, stonemasons relied on secret handshakes to identify one another. This greeting was especially useful for those traveling to new construction sites looking for work, as it allowed fellow masons to recognize them as craftsmen, with each handshake commensurate with one's experience and therefore pay. Today, there are a dozen different secret handshakes within Freemasonry that are used depending on the level of the Mason. While Freemasonry is not itself a religion, all of its members believe in a supreme being, or a grand architect of the universe. The Catholic Church first condemned Freemasonry in 1738. In the 19th century, the Vatican even called the Masons the Synagogue of Satan. Freemasonry is a secular movement that welcomes members of many faiths, including Muslims, Hindus, Sikhs and Jews, as long as they believe in a godlike being. In theory, Freemason lodges also prohibit discussion of religion and politics. In the group's 1723 constitution, a kind of guidebook to the organization, it was written that women and atheists were excluded along with enslaved people. Freemasonry in England was, for 200 years, only open to men. That changed in the 20th century. Now, Masons come from all walks of life, provided they can afford to pay the annual subscription. While women are allowed to join in affiliated organizations, some lodges recognize female members and some do not. Some lodges still exclude women and atheists in both the US and Europe. It can vary city to city and lodge to lodge. Freemasonry welcomes men of every country, religion, race, age, income, education and opinion. However, to join Freemasonry, one must meet the following qualifications. Be a male at least 18 years of age, believe in the existence of a supreme being, although Freemasonry is not concerned with theological distinctions or particular religious beliefs, be of good moral character, be motivated to join for reasons unrelated to personal gain or profit. Your decision to apply is based on your own free will and accord. Be prompted by a favorable opinion of Freemasonry. Be desirous of earning knowledge and willing to conform to the ancient usages and customs of the fraternity. If you are interested in joining the Freemasonry, you must contact a master at your nearest lodge. Famous Freemasons can be found throughout history. George Washington was a Master Mason, and Benjamin Franklin was a founding member of the first Masonic Lodge in America. Presidents Franklin D. Roosevelt and Gerald Ford were also Masons, as was Prime Minister of Great Britain Winston Churchill. Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, Davy Crockett, Duke Ellington, Nat King Cole, Henry Ford, Paul Robeson and astronaut Buzz Aldrin were also Freemasons. That concludes our overview of Freemasonry's principles, membership and intriguing facts. Was there anything new you learned? Let me know in the comment section below. Stay tuned for episode 31 of Historical Facts, Disturbing or Delightful, You Decide, where we will cover some fascinating historical facts. Thank you for watching.
Welcome to episode 31 of Historical Facts, Disturbing or Delightful, You Decide. Today we're exploring 5 historical facts. Did you know that William Shakespeare originated the Yo Mama joke in his play Titus Andronicus? In this play, Chiron exclaims, "Thou hast undone our mother," to which Aaron replies, "Villain, I have done thy mother." Did you know that Adolf Hitler's nephew fought against the Nazis in World War II? William Patrick Hitler, later known as William Patrick Stewart Houston, was drafted into the United States Navy, where he served as a hospital corpsman throughout the war until 1947. He was wounded in action, awarded the Purple Heart, and went on to gain American citizenship. The first known artwork dates back roughly 100,000 years ago, believed to have begun with the Homo sapiens during the Upper Paleolithic era. The oldest known artwork was found in a cave now known as France. Did you know that the Vikings were the first European people to actually discover America? Half a millennium before Christopher Columbus, Viking chief Leif Erikson of Greenland landed on the island of Newfoundland in the year 1000 AD. The Vikings, under Leif Erikson, settled Newfoundland as well as discovering and settling Labrador further north in Canada. 4% of the Normandy beaches are made up of shrapnel from the D-Day landings. More than 5,000 tons of bombs were dropped by the Allies on the Axis powers as part of the prelude to the Normandy landings. Scientists have studied the sand on the beaches of Normandy and have found microscopic bits of smoothed down shrapnel from the landings. What fascinating facts! Thank you for watching, and join us for episode 32 for more historical facts only on Historical Facts, Disturbing or Delightful, You Decide. Welcome to episode 32 of Historical Facts, Disturbing or Delightful, You Decide. On this episode, we will be diving into 5 historical facts. Did you know that in ancient Asia, death by elephant was a popular form of execution? They could be taught to slowly break bones, crush skulls, twist off limbs, or even execute people using large blades fitted to their tusks. In some parts of Asia, this method of execution was still popular up to the 19th century, when Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette were beheaded. It is said that people dipped handkerchiefs in their blood to keep as souvenirs. In 2011, a group of scientists confirmed that a blood-stained handkerchief, dated to approximately 1793, was soaked in the blood of Louis XVI. In the course of an average lifetime, while sleeping, you might eat around 70 assorted insects and 10 spiders, or more. There are only 4 words in the English language which end in "das": tremendous, horrendous, stupendous, and hazardous. Did you know that wearing headphones for just an hour could increase the bacteria in your ear by 700 times? What fascinating facts! Thank you for watching, and join us for episode 33 for more historical facts only on Historical Facts. Disturbing or delightful, you decide. If you're a fan of the odd and unexpected, then these historical nuggets are just for you. Let's kick off with a bang. Ever heard of the Great Emu War in Australia 1932? Yep, the military literally had a showdown with birds and lost. Moving on, did you think ancient Egyptians only preserved pharaohs? Nope, they mummified millions of ibises just to offer to the gods. Now buckle up for this. In medieval times, animals could be put on trial. Imagine a pig in a courtroom, and here's a kicker. The shortest war in history, between Britain and Zanzibar in 1896, lasted just 38 minutes. Talk about a quick fight. Lastly, ever think your job is tough? Consider the Roman fullers tasked with cleaning clothes and urine. Yep, that was their soap. We're wrapping up today's journey through bizarre history. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to catch episode 34, where we dive into witches through time, a bewitching history. See you then. Witchcraft and magic. Is it real? What do you know about the true history of witchcraft? It's all not Ouija boards and spells. The fascinating history goes far back into time and has greatly evolved. Let's dig deeper into this history today on Historical Facts. Disturbing or delightful, you decide. Witchcraft. The concept of witchcraft is ancient, its origins lost to time. Evidence suggests early humans practiced forms of magic as far back as the Paleolithic era. Cave paintings depict shamans, figures believed to possess supernatural abilities. These individuals held power within their communities, acting as healers and spiritual guides. Throughout history, various cultures developed their own unique beliefs about magic and those who wielded it. In ancient Egypt, magic was an integral part of religion and daily life. Priests and priestesses were skilled in spells and rituals, using their knowledge for healing, protection, and even curses. The ancient Greeks and Romans also had a complex relationship with magic. While they acknowledged its power, they also feared its potential for harm. Oracles like the famous Oracle of Delphi were consulted for their prophetic abilities. However, those suspected of using magic for malicious purposes faced persecution. Over time, the perception of magic and those associated with it began to shift. With the rise of Christianity in Europe, pagan beliefs and practices were demonized. What was once seen as a connection to the spiritual world became associated with evil and the devil. This marked a dark turn in the history of witchcraft, paving the way for centuries of persecution. The early modern period, spanning from the 14th to 18th centuries, witnessed a dramatic escalation in witch hunts. This era, often referred to as the Burning Times, was marked by widespread fear and paranoia surrounding witchcraft. Fueled by religious fervor, social upheaval, and political instability, accusations of witchcraft spread like wildfire across Europe and colonial America. The publication of the Malleus Maleficarum, or Hammer of Witches, in 1486 played a significant role in fueling the witch craze. This infamous text, written by two German inquisitors, served as a guidebook for identifying and prosecuting witches. It demonized women in particular, portraying them as weak-willed and susceptible to the devil's influence. Witch trials became increasingly common, often characterized by mass hysteria and flimsy evidence. Accusations could stem from personal grudges, social anxieties, or even unexplained misfortunes like crop failures or illness. Torture was frequently used to extract confessions, and those found guilty faced horrific punishments, most commonly burning at the stake. One of the most infamous examples of a witch hunt is the Salem witch trials, which took place in Salem, Massachusetts in 1692. Fueled by religious extremism, political tensions, and possibly even ergot poisoning, the trials led to the executions of 20 people, mostly women. The Salem witch trials serve as a chilling reminder of the dangers of mass hysteria and the devastating consequences of unchecked persecution. They stand as a dark chapter in human history, a testament to the power of fear and the fragility of justice. Behind the historical accounts of witch hunts lie the personal stories of countless individuals accused of witchcraft. Their voices, often silenced by fear and prejudice, offer a glimpse into the human cost of these persecutions. One such story is that of Isabel Gowdie, a Scottish woman tried for witchcraft in 1662. Unlike many accused witches, Gowdie confessed to practicing magic. However, her detailed accounts of her interactions with the devil and her participation in sabbats are believed by some historians to have been coerced or fabricated under duress. Another compelling figure is Rebecca Nurse, a respected elderly woman accused during the Salem witch trials. Known for her piety and good character, Nurse's accusation shocked the community. Despite maintaining her innocence, she was found guilty and hanged on July 19, 1692. Her case highlights the arbitrary and unjust nature of the trials. These stories, though often fragmented and incomplete, provide valuable insights into the lives of those accused of witchcraft. They remind us that behind the label of witch were real people with families, beliefs, and dreams. Their experiences serve as a stark reminder of the importance of critical thinking, due process, and compassion in the face of accusations and social hysteria. Section 4. Shifting Sands. Witchcraft in the Modern Age. As the Enlightenment took hold in the 18th century, belief in witchcraft gradually declined. The rise of science and reason challenged traditional superstitions, leading to the repeal of witchcraft laws across Europe and America. The last known execution for witchcraft in Europe occurred in Switzerland in 1792. However, the concept of witchcraft did not disappear entirely. Instead, it underwent a transformation. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, interest in occultism and esoteric practices resurfaced, fueled in part by movements like spiritualism and theosophy. The 20th century witnessed the emergence of Wicca, a neo-pagan religion that draws inspiration from pre-Christian beliefs and practices. Wicca emphasizes reverence for nature, personal growth, and the interconnectedness of all things. It has gained increasing acceptance as a legitimate spiritual path, shedding the negative connotations associated with witchcraft. Today, witchcraft exists in a complex and multifaceted form. For some, it represents a connection to ancient traditions and a source of spiritual empowerment. For others, it is a form of self-expression and a celebration of nature. While the fear and persecution of the past have largely subsided, the legacy of witch hunts serves as a reminder of the dangers of tolerance and the importance of religious freedom. Section 5, Echoes of the Past, Legacy and Remembrance. The history of witchcraft is a tapestry woven from threads of magic, fear, persecution, and resilience. From its ancient roots to its modern resurgence, witchcraft has captivated imaginations and sparked both wonder and terror. The legacy of witch hunts continues to resonate today. Memorials and museums dedicated to the victims of these persecutions serve as solemn reminders of the dangers of religious extremism and the importance of protecting individual rights. Moreover, the witch has re-emerged as a potent symbol in popular culture, literature, and film. From the iconic Wicked Witch of the West to the complex heroines of modern fantasy novels, witches have transcended their historical portrayal as figures of fear. They are now often depicted as strong, independent, and even subversive figures who challenge societal norms and embrace their own power. The story of witchcraft is a testament to the enduring human fascination with the unknown. It reminds us of the power of belief, the allure of the forbidden, and the importance of questioning dogma. As we move forward, it is essential to remember the lessons of the past, to celebrate diversity of thought and belief, and to ensure that the darkness of persecution never again eclipses the light of reason and compassion. Thank you for watching, and join us next time for episode 35 of Historical Facts, Disturbing or Delightful. You decide, where we'll explore the history of the Tower of London. Welcome back to Historical Facts, Disturbing or Delightful. You decide. Today we explore the hauntings at the Tower of London. This ancient fortress, steeped in centuries of history, has witnessed unspeakable acts of cruelty, treachery, and despair. Many stories from locals and visitors talk about hearing voices or seeing things from the corner of their eyes, things that could not be explained. Are these just stories, or could there be some truth to it? Let's dive in, and you decide if they are disturbing or delightful enough to visit yourself. Our journey begins with the tragic tale of the princes in the tower. In 1483, two young princes, Edward aged 12 and his brother Richard aged 9, were confined within these walls. Their uncle, Richard, Duke of Gloucester, declared them illegitimate heirs and assumed the crown as Richard III. The boys were never seen again. The mystery of their disappearance has haunted historians for centuries. Some believe they were murdered on their uncle's orders, while others hope they escaped and lived in obscurity. Many visitors and guards have reported seeing two small, shadowy figures, hand in hand, flitting through the corridors of the White Tower. They move with a spectral grace, their forms indistinct, as if woven from shadows. Are these the restless spirits of Edward and Richard, forever bound to the place of their imprisonment and presumed demise? Few figures in English history are as captivating and tragic as Anne Boleyn. Her story is one of ambition, love, betrayal, and an untimely end that has fascinated historians and the public alike for centuries. The second wife of King Henry VIII, Anne's ambition led him to break with the Catholic Church to marry her. This monumental decision changed the course of English history forever, leading to the establishment of the Church of England. However, her time as queen was short-lived. Despite her intelligence and charm, the political and personal pressures she faced were immense. Unable to provide Henry with a male heir, she fell out of favor and was accused of treason and adultery. These charges, whether true or fabricated, seal her fate. In 1536, Anne met her end on the executioner's block within the tower walls. Her final moments were marked by dignity and grace, even in the face of death. Her execution, swift and brutal, cemented her place in history as a tragic heroine. The image of her final walk to the scaffold remains etched in the collective memory. But Anne's story did not end there. Her legacy continued to haunt the corridors of power and the public imagination. Her presence is said to be one of the most strongly felt within the tower. Many visitors and staff have reported strange occurrences and sightings. Some say she wanders the halls in anguish, reliving the moments leading up to her execution. Her spirit is often described as restless, unable to find peace. Others claim to have seen her on the anniversary of her death, a solitary figure in a white gown, her head tucked beneath her arm, gliding silently through the Queen's house. This spectral sighting has become one of the most famous ghost stories associated with the Tower of London. The Tower of London is said to be haunted by the enigmatic White Woman, a ghostly presence that has intrigued and terrified visitors for centuries. She appears as a spectral figure draped in flowing white robes, her face often obscured by a veil, adding to her mysterious and ethereal appearance. Her origins and motives are shrouded in mystery, adding to the unease that surrounds her. Some say she is a harbinger of doom, while others believe she is a lost soul seeking redemption. Within the tower, the White Woman is often seen drifting through the White Tower, her footsteps silent, her form shimmering as if formed from moonlight. She moves with an otherworldly grace, almost as if she is floating. A startling account tells of tourists who encountered the White Woman on a tour. They were captivated by the history of the tower when they noticed something unusual. As they listened to the guide, they noticed a figure in white standing at the back. The figure seemed to be watching them, her presence both eerie and captivating. But as they turned to look again, the figure was gone, vanished into thin air. The encounter left them with a chilling reminder of the tower's haunted past. Chapter 4. The Shadow of Henry VI. The Wakefield Tower holds the echoes of a king's demise. It was here that Henry VI, a pious and gentle ruler, met his end. Deposed and imprisoned by the Yorkist faction during the Wars of the Roses, Henry was held captive in the Wakefield Tower. On the night of May 21, 1471, Henry knelt in prayer in the tower's chapel. He was unaware of the shadowy figure approaching him, a hired assassin. With a swift blow, Henry's reign and life were extinguished. To this day, it is said that Henry's spirit roams the Wakefield Tower. Some say he appears as a spectral figure in royal robes, his face etched with sorrow. Others claim to have heard the faint echoes of chanting coming from the chapel, as if Henry's spirit continues to seek solace in prayer. Chapter 5. The execution of Margaret Pole, Countess of Salisbury, stands out for its sheer brutality and the tragic circumstances surrounding it. A woman of noble birth and unwavering faith, Margaret became embroiled in the religious and political turmoil during Henry VIII's reign. Her loyalty to the Catholic Church and her Plantagenet lineage made her a target. Accused of treason for her loyalty to the Catholic Church, she was imprisoned in the Tower. The charges were largely seen as fabricated, a means to eliminate a potential threat to the Tudor dynasty. On May 27, 1541, Margaret was led to the executioner's block on Tower Green. The day was grim and the air was thick with tension. However, she refused to kneel, proclaiming her innocence with a voice that echoed her unyielding spirit. Her defiance enraged the executioner, who began hacking at her with his axe. His anger and frustration were evident in his brutal actions. Margaret, in a desperate attempt to escape, ran around the scaffold, her blood staining the ground. Her movements were frantic, driven by a primal will to survive. It is said that it took the executioner 10 blows to finally end her life. Each strike was a testament to the horror of that day. Her screams are said to still echo across Tower Green, a chilling reminder of her brutal demise. The site remains haunted by the memory of her suffering. Some visitors claim to have witnessed a ghostly reenactment of her final moments, a spectral chase that ends with the Countess falling silent. Her spirit, they say, is forever bound to the place of her tragic end. Chapter 6. The Beauchamp Tower bears witness to the long imprisonment of Sir Walter Raleigh. A renowned explorer, writer, and soldier, Raleigh was a favourite of Queen Elizabeth I. However, his fortunes changed dramatically upon the accession of King James I. Accused of plotting against the king, Raleigh was imprisoned in the Tower in 1603. He spent the next 13 years confined within the Beauchamp Tower. During his imprisonment, Raleigh wrote extensively, reflecting his intelligence and enduring spirit. He even attempted suicide by stabbing himself, but failed. In 1618, Raleigh was released, but soon rearrested and executed. Despite his demise, Raleigh's spirit is said to linger within the Beauchamp Tower. Some say he can be seen pacing the ramparts, gazing out at the city he once knew. Others claim to have heard the scratch of his quill as he continues to write his memoirs. Chapter 7. The Tower of London, with its labyrinthine corridors, is a place where sounds can play tricks on the mind, but some sounds defy rational explanation. One such sound is the rhythmic slap of sandals against stone, sending chills down the spines of visitors and guards. This is no ordinary footstep. It is said to be the sound of the Phantom Monk, a spectral figure who roams the tower's halls. Some believe he was a monk imprisoned during the Reformation, his faith tested within his cell. Others whisper he was a healer, tending to the sick and dying within the tower's infirmary. Whatever his origins, the Phantom Monk's presence is a reminder that the tower's history is not confined to the pages of history books. The Tower of London has been a tourist attraction since the 18th century, so you can experience the chilling atmosphere yourself. Walk the same halls as kings and queens, prisoners and executioners, and perhaps, if you're lucky or perhaps unlucky, you might just catch a glimpse of the spirits that are said to roam its grounds. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for episode 36, where we go into the hauntings at Hampton Court. If you love history and ghosts, then buckle up. This one's for you. Hampton Court Palace, once home to King Henry VIII, is a hotbed of eerie tales. In the Queen's Gallery, staff once heard footsteps and a door opening, despite the palace being empty. Panic ensued as they screamed and fled. In 2003, CCTV caught a ghostly figure slamming a fire door for 3 days straight. No explanations, just spine-chilling mystery. And then there's Catherine Howard, beheaded at 19 for treason. Her ghost is said to run the haunted gallery, screaming for mercy. Jane Seymour, Henry's third wife, appears on the Silver Stick Stairs every October. And the Grey Lady, a nurse, roams the corridors after her tomb was disturbed in 1829. Have you visited Hampton Court and felt a ghostly presence? Comment below. Stay tuned for more historical chills in episode 37. Are they disturbing or delightful? You decide.
Explorers of the peculiar and the profound. Welcome back to our sanctuary of esoteric knowledge, where we delve into the annals of history to uncover the most captivating and, dare I say, peculiar facts that have shaped our world. In this episode, our journey takes us through time from the ancient Roman Empire to the depths of Gow's Cave in Somerset, England, and finally to ancient Egypt itself. Prepare to be amazed, perhaps slightly disturbed, but undoubtedly enlightened, as we unearth 3 historical facts that are sure to leave you questioning everything you thought you knew before. Ancient Rome, a civilization known for its grandeur, its military prowess, and as we're about to discover, its rather unorthodox approach to dental hygiene. The Romans were pioneers in many fields, but their dental practices were truly something else. Now, you might think that toothpaste is a relatively modern invention, but my word, you'd be wrong. The concept of cleaning one's teeth has been around for centuries, and the Romans had their own unique methods. The Romans, those ingenious souls, had their own version, and it was, shall we say, a bit ripe. Their resourcefulness knew no bounds, and they utilized what was readily available to them. You see, in those days, urine was a surprisingly valuable commodity. It wasn't just waste. It was a multi-purpose substance that found its way into various aspects of daily life. It was a readily available source of ammonia, which, believe it or not, has potent cleansing properties. This made it an ideal ingredient for their unconventional toothpaste. So much so that the Romans even had a special tax on urine trading. Yes, they were taxed for collecting and selling urine, a testament to its perceived value. Can you imagine, my friends? Urine collectors stationed on street corners, their clay pots brimming with, well, you know, it was a common sight in the bustling streets of ancient Rome, but it didn't stop there. Oh no, the Romans, ever resourceful, decided to harness the power of pee in their quest for pearly whites. They were determined to maintain their dental health, no matter the cost. They would mix this golden liquid with a rather eclectic blend of ingredients, including powdered charcoal, herbs, and, wait for it, crushed mouse skulls. This mixture was believed to have powerful cleaning properties. Yes, you heard that right, crushed mouse skulls. It sounds bizarre to us now, but it was a common practice back then. Now, I've seen some strange things in my time observing the natural world, but even I have to admit this concoction is rather unsettling. The lengths to which they went for dental hygiene are truly remarkable. This peculiar paste was then applied with frayed sticks, or chew sticks as they were known, to scrub away any lingering food particles. These chew sticks were the ancient equivalent of our modern toothbrushes. And for the finishing touch, a refreshing swig of pure, unadulterated urine to rinse it all away. This final step was believed to enhance the cleaning process. I must say, I'm rather grateful for the advent of modern mouthwash, aren't you? The evolution of dental care has certainly come a long way since the days of Roman urine toothpaste. Our next stop takes us to the dimly lit recesses of Gow's Cave in Somerset, England, where a discovery in 2011 sent shivers down the spines of even the most seasoned archaeologists. This cave, steeped in history, holds secrets that challenge our understanding of ancient human behavior. Picture this. 3 human skulls, carefully crafted into bowls, their hollowed-out interiors bearing the unmistakable signs of use. These skulls were not just discarded remnants, they were transformed into something functional, yet deeply symbolic. These weren't just any skulls, mind you, they belonged to 2 adults and a child, dating back an astonishing 14,700 years. The age of these artifacts alone is enough to boggle the mind, but their purpose is even more intriguing. The meticulous craftsmanship, the way the skulls were broken and shaped, it all pointed towards a deliberate and purposeful creation. This wasn't a haphazard act, it was a skilled process suggesting a significant cultural or ritualistic importance. But for what purpose, you might ask? Well, the most likely explanation is both fascinating and a tad unsettling. These skull cups might have been used in rituals that are now lost to history, their true meaning obscured by the passage of time. It seems our ancestors may have used these skull cups for ceremonial purposes, perhaps as part of ancient funeral rites. These rituals could have been a way to connect with the deceased, to honor them, or to invoke their presence in some way. Imagine, if you will, a flickering firelight casting eerie shadows on the cave walls as these macabre vessels were passed around, their contents a mystery lost to time. The atmosphere would have been both solemn and haunting, a testament to the complex beliefs of our ancestors. Now, the use of human skulls as drinking vessels might seem utterly alien to us today, but in the grand tapestry of human history, it's not entirely unheard of. Such practices, though rare, have been documented across various cultures and time periods. The Scythians, for instance, those fierce nomadic warriors, were said to drink from the skulls of their slain enemies, a gruesome practice indeed. This act was likely intended to demonstrate power and dominance over their foes, and even as recently as the 19th century, skull cups were reportedly still in use in parts of Fiji and other islands. These practices, though shocking to us, were part of the cultural fabric of these societies. So were these skull cups a sign of respect for the departed, a way to honor their memory? Or were they a more practical, albeit grisly, solution to a shortage of drinking vessels? Perhaps they served both purposes, blending practicality with ritual significance. The answer, my friends, remains shrouded in the mists of time. As we continue to uncover the past, we are reminded of the rich and often perplexing tapestry of human history, where ritual and resourcefulness often intertwine in unexpected ways. Chapter 3. Cleopatra's Tangled Family Tree. Our final historical curiosity takes us to the sun-drenched sands of ancient Egypt, where we encounter one of history's most iconic figures, Cleopatra, the last active ruler of the Ptolemaic kingdom. Now, Cleopatra was known for her beauty, her intelligence, and her rather, shall we say, complicated family tree, which has fascinated historians for centuries. You see, the Ptolemaic dynasty, of which Cleopatra was the last ruler, had a rather, well, let's just say they were very fond of keeping it in the family to an extent that might surprise you. Now, when I say keeping it in the family, I'm not talking about your average family reunion or a simple gathering of relatives. We're talking full-blown, generations-long incest, a practice that was quite common among the Ptolemies to preserve their royal bloodline. Cleopatra's family tree is less of a branching oak and more of a tangled vine, with the same names popping up again and again, creating a complex web of relationships. Her great-great-grandparents, for instance, could fill a banquet hall with 16 slots on the family tree. But the reality was far more intricate. In reality, only 6 individuals held all those positions, a testament to the dynasty's unique approach to marriage and family. That's because the Ptolemies practiced incest, with a dedication that would make even the most devoted genealogist blush, intertwining their lineage in ways that are hard to fathom today. We're talking brother-sister marriages, uncle-niece marriages, you name it. These unions were not just occasional, but a regular occurrence. Cleopatra's own parents were half-siblings sharing the same father, a common practice to maintain the purity of their royal bloodline. This intricate web of relationships resulted in a family tree that was as tangled as the Nile Delta itself, with branches that looped back on themselves. It's no wonder that Cleopatra, despite her many accomplishments and her legendary status, met a rather tragic end, a fate that seemed almost inevitable. Perhaps it was the weight of her ancestors, or perhaps it was simply the fickle hand of fate that led to her downfall. Whatever the reason, Cleopatra's story serves as a reminder that even the most powerful rulers are not immune to the complexities of family, especially when those families are as, shall we say, closely intertwined as hers. Her legacy continues to intrigue and inspire, a testament to the enduring power of history's most enigmatic figures. Well, my fellow history enthusiasts, there you have it. 3 historical facts, each one more peculiar and thought-provoking than the last. I do hope you've enjoyed this journey into the stranger side of history with us. Now, tell me, which of these historical tidbits did you find most intriguing and surprising? Was it the Romans' rather pungent approach to oral hygiene, the unsettling discovery of skull cups in a British cave, or perhaps the tangled family tree of the last pharaoh of Egypt? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe for more fascinating forays into the annals of history. Until next time, keep those minds curious and those imaginations.
Welcome back, dear viewers, to Historical Facts. Disturbing or delightful, it is with great pleasure that we embark on another journey through the annals of time, unearthing those peculiar and often perplexing incidents that have shaped our world. For in the tapestry of history, alongside the grand narratives of empires and revolutions, there lie these curious threads, often overlooked yet no less fascinating. In this episode, we will delve into 3 such historical facts, each holding the potential to disturb, to delight, or perhaps to evoke a curious blend of both. But ultimately, dear viewers, the judgment rests with you. Our first historical curiosity takes us back to the late 18th century, to a time when childbirth, while a natural miracle, was often fraught with peril. Scottish doctors John Aitken and James Jeffrey, driven by a desire to alleviate the suffering of women during difficult deliveries, devised a rather startling solution: a chainsaw. Now, before you recoil in horror, it's crucial to remember that this was not the roaring, gasoline-powered instrument we know today. This early chainsaw, first employed in 1785, was a far more delicate, manually operated instrument designed with a flexible chain and small teeth. Its purpose was not to cut through bone, as one might initially assume, but rather to carefully remove a portion of the pelvic bone, a procedure known as a symphysiotomy, to allow for a safer delivery. While the procedure, and indeed the instrument itself, may seem rather alarming by today's standards, it's a stark reminder of the ingenuity, however unconventional, that often arose from the medical challenges of the past. From the realm of medicine, we journey now to the heart of Rome, Italy, where nestled amongst the ancient streets lies the Museo dell'Anime del Purgatorio, the Museum of the Souls of Purgatory. This sanctuary houses objects touched by souls trapped between worlds. The museum's origins trace back to an 1897 fire at the Church of the Sacred Heart of Jesus. A priest claimed to see a face in the flames, igniting beliefs of released souls. Today, it displays chilling relics like scorched prayer books and seared fingerprints. Whether these objects are truly imbued with lost souls, anguish, or earthly phenomena, the museum fascinates with its mysteries beyond the veil. Chapter 3: The Silent Prison of Locked-In Syndrome. Our final historical curiosity delves into the realm of neurology, with a condition both baffling and deeply unsettling: locked-in syndrome. This rare neurological disorder, first clinically described by neurologists Fred Plum and Jerome Posner in 1966, traps its victims within their own bodies. Imagine, if you will, a prison not of stone and iron, but of flesh and bone. Those afflicted with locked-in syndrome remain acutely aware of their surroundings, their minds functioning normally, yet they are robbed of their ability to move or communicate verbally. Their bodies become unresponsive, paralyzed by damage to specific regions of the lower brain and brain stem, often the result of a stroke or traumatic brain injury. The very essence of communication, the ability to speak, to gesture, to express even the simplest thought, is cruelly severed. And yet, within this silent prison, the mind remains active, a captive audience to the world around them. And so, dear viewers, we reach the end of our latest exploration into history's cabinet of curiosities. We've encountered medical marvels from a bygone era, delved into the unsettling world of the paranormal, and confronted the profound mysteries of the human brain. Were these historical facts disturbing or delightful? The verdict, as always, is yours to render. Join us again next time as we continue our quest to uncover the strange, the surprising, and the endlessly fascinating stories that history has to tell.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our show, where we delve into the annals of history to uncover the strange, the unsettling, and the downright fascinating. I'm your host, and today we have 3 historical tidbits that are sure to pique your curiosity and maybe even send a shiver down your spine. From creepy dolls to unsettling coincidences and the haunting remnants of a world forever changed by war, we're about to embark on a journey that's both enlightening
and a tad bit eerie. So buckle up, grab your thinking caps, and maybe a nightlight, and let's get started. Okay, let's be real. Dolls are already kinda creepy, right? But what if I told you that Thomas Edison, the genius behind the light bulb and the phonograph, also created dolls that talked? Yeah, not exactly the cuddly companions you might imagine. Picture this. It's the late 1800s, and Edison, ever the innovator, decides to combine his love for technology with, well, toys. And thus, the Edison talking doll was born. Except these weren't your average playthings. These dolls were made of metal. Yes, metal. And had tiny phonographs embedded in their chests. Imagine winding up a doll and hearing it recite nursery rhymes in a voice that sounds like it's coming from the bottom of a well. Edison, perhaps aware of their slightly unsettling nature, referred to these creations as his little monsters. And honestly, who could blame him? The dolls were a commercial flop, lasting only a month on the market. But here's where things get really interesting. Some of these dolls survived the test of time. And thanks to modern technology, we can actually hear the recordings they once played. The recordings, which you can find online, are a mix of nursery rhymes and children's stories, but their distorted, almost ghostly quality gives them an undeniably eerie vibe. It's like listening to voices from another era, trapped within these metal bodies. So, disturbing or delightful, you be the judge. Our next story takes us into the realm of true crime, and it involves one of the most notorious serial killers in American history, Ted Bundy. Now, before we delve into this unsettling tale, I want to acknowledge that Bundy's crimes were horrific, and our focus here is not to glorify him, but to examine a particularly strange chapter in his life. While attending the University of Washington, Bundy, a psychology student, volunteered at a suicide hotline crisis center. Yes, you heard that right. The man who would later confess to the murders of over 30 women spent his time answering calls from people in crisis, offering them support and guidance. It's a chilling juxtaposition, isn't it? A man capable of such darkness, engaging in acts of empathy and compassion. Some speculate that Bundy's volunteer work was a way for him to gain a deeper understanding of human vulnerability, to learn how to manipulate and control those around him. During his time at the hotline, Bundy even befriended Ann Rule, a true crime writer who would later pen a best-selling biography about him. Imagine the shock and disbelief Rule must have felt when she realized that the seemingly charming and charismatic young man she knew was responsible for such unspeakable acts. Bundy's involvement in the suicide hotline remains a haunting reminder that evil often hides in plain sight, concealed beneath a veneer of normalcy. It's a stark and unsettling truth that forces us to confront the complexities of human nature. Chapter 3: Shadows of a Cataclysmic Day. Our final story takes us back to one of the darkest chapters in human history, the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. While the devastating loss of life and the long-term effects of radiation are well documented, there's a lesser-known consequence of these events that's both haunting and profound. Imagine a city frozen in time, the remnants of everyday life etched onto its very surfaces. That's the legacy of the atomic shadows, ghostly imprints left behind by the intense heat and light of the blasts. When the bombs detonated, they released an unimaginable amount of energy, instantly vaporizing anything in their immediate vicinity. Objects and people caught in the path of the blast absorbed some of this energy, shielding the surfaces behind them and creating silhouettes, shadows, where they once stood. These shadows are a chilling reminder of the sheer power of the atomic bombs, a testament to the destructive force unleashed upon these cities. They serve as a stark warning to future generations, a visual representation of the horrors that can unfold when we unleash such devastating power. In the years since the bombings, some of these shadows have faded, victims of time and the elements. But others remain, preserved as memorials, solemn reminders of the lives lost and the world forever changed on those fateful days. They stand as silent witnesses to the horrors of nuclear war, urging us to strive for peace and understanding, to ensure that such devastation is never visited upon humanity again. And there you have it, 3 historical tidbits that are both thought-provoking and, let's be honest, a little bit creepy. From Edison's eerie talking dolls to the unsettling reality of Ted Bundy's volunteer work and the haunting shadows of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, we've explored the darker side of history today. But remember, history is full of surprises, and even in the darkest of times, there are always stories of resilience, hope, and the enduring spirit of humanity. So keep exploring, keep asking questions, and never stop being curious about the world around you. And be sure to join us next time for another episode of Historical Facts. Disturbing or delightful? You decide. Where we'll be venturing into the depths of Paris to uncover the secrets of the millions of skeletons that lie beneath its bustling streets. Until then, stay curious.
Beneath the lively streets of Paris lies a silent city. It is a city of darkness and shadows, stretching for miles beneath our feet. These are the catacombs of Paris, a maze-like ossuary holding the skeletal remains of over 6 million Parisians. What began as a solution to a gruesome urban problem transformed into a macabre spectacle and eventually a unique historical monument. In the 18th century, Paris faced a gruesome dilemma. The city, in full expansion, saw its population rapidly increase. The cemeteries, overflowing for centuries, were contaminating the city. The inhabitants suffered from foul odors and health risks. The largest, Les Innocents, overflowed with the dead, its soil nothing more than a toxic broth. The stench was unbearable, making daily life difficult. Something had to be done. The authorities had to find a quick and effective solution. In 1774, tragedy struck. A tragic event shook the city. A wall bordering Les Innocents collapsed, spilling decomposing corpses into the street. The scene was apocalyptic. The incident horrified Parisians and forced action. The population demanded immediate measures. The solution? A network of abandoned underground quarries transformed into a vast ossuary, the catacombs. These tunnels became the final resting place for millions of Parisians. The monumental task of moving millions of skeletons fell to Charles-Axel Guillemot, Inspector General of Mines. This man, with unwavering vision and determination, undertook a mission that would change the face of Paris forever. Starting in 1786, under the cover of night, carts laden with bones crossed the streets of Paris. These nocturnal processions, often silent and solemn, were both a macabre and fascinating spectacle for the city's inhabitants. Priests, chanting prayers, blessed the remains. These religious rituals were essential to ensure that the souls of the deceased found peace in their new underground home. The bones arrived at the catacombs, carefully arranged in patterns and stacks. The workers, with almost artistic precision, arranged the bones to create intricate patterns and orderly piles. Skulls and femurs formed walls, creating a tapestry of death both frightening and strangely beautiful. These macabre arrangements have become an integral part of Parisian history and culture. The process continued for years, a somber reminder of the city's mortality. Each bone moved, each wall erected, tells the story of life and death, of memory and oblivion. Section 5. Foundations of bone. The challenges of building above. Building anything above the catacombs is a risky proposition. The tunnels snake beneath the city, their layout not always precise. Building heavy structures risks destabilizing the ground. Skyscrapers are out of the question. Their weight could cause collapses, sending buildings crashing into the abyss below. The catacombs are a constant reminder that Paris's past is never far from its present. Section 6. Visiting the catacombs. A journey into Parisian history. Today, the catacombs of Paris are a popular tourist destination, attracting thousands of visitors each year. Visitors descend into the cool, damp air, walking the same paths as the quarrymen and priests of centuries ago. Each step resonates with history, each wall whispers ancient secrets. The sheer number of skeletons is impressive, a stark reminder of the fragility of life. These bones, carefully stacked, tell stories of past lives and human mortality. However, the catacombs are not always open. Visitors sometimes face unexpected closures. Closures occur due to flooding, maintenance work, or safety concerns. These measures are essential to preserve this unique historical site. It is always wise to consult the official website before planning a visit. This helps avoid disappointment and ensures that the experience will be as rewarding as possible. But for those who venture into this underground realm, a journey awaits into the heart of Parisian history. An adventure that transports them through the ages, revealing the mysteries and wonders hidden beneath the bustling streets of Paris.
Thank you for joining me on this 2.5-hour journey through history. From the disturbing to the delightful, we've covered it all. Remember, the past shapes our future, so keep questioning and exploring. Until next time, stay curious. Credits: narrator, user's voice series, historical facts, disturbing or delightful, you decide.